Well, famed attorney Alan Dershowitz has won what is being called a significant procedural victory in federal court against CNN as part of his ongoing defamation lawsuit against the network. Professor Dershowitz sued the liberal media outlet last September after CNN aired an edited clip of his defense argument in favor of then President Donald Trump during the Senate impeachment trial. Now, he argued that CNN's editing of his defense argument resulted in intentionally misleading the audience. Well, CNN filed a motion to dismiss, but a U.S. District Court was not convinced, and the case will now move forward. A $300 million lawsuit, by the way. Joining us now, Professor Emeritus from Harvard Law School and author of Guilt by Accusation, Alan Dershowitz. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So how do you feel that CNN defamed you?
Well, it's not about me. It's about misleading thousands and thousands of people. I said a president could be impeached if he committed crimes or unlawful conduct. They doctored the tape to make me say the president couldn't be impeached even if he committed unlawful or illegal conduct. They simply distorted my words. The judge looked at it and he said, no, they don't get the benefit of the fair reporting privilege because their reporting was unfair. They didn't accurately reflect what I said. I'm going to be able to prove at trial. They made a deliberate, willful, malicious decision from the top down to doctor my tape in order to make me say exactly the opposite of what I said. They had two commentators get on and say, Dershowitz said a president can do whatever he wants, including committing crimes. He could be like Hitler and Stalin. Use those words. Knowing full well that I had said exactly the opposite.
Okay.
So CNN. It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about the viewers.
Let's take a look at your original testimony that you gave the network, that the network decided to edit. Let's hear it.
The only thing that would make a quid pro quo unlawful is if the quo were in some way illegal. Now, we talked about motive. There are three possible motives that a political figure can have. One, a motive in the public interest, and the Israel argument would be in the public interest. The second is in his own political interest, and the third, which hasn't been mentioned, would be in his own financial interest, his own pure financial interest, just putting money in the bank. I want to focus on the second one for just one moment. Every public official that I know believes that his election is in the public interest. And mostly you're right. Your election is in the public interest. And if a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment.
Was that at issue?
No, I had said right from the beginning, the day before, I made an 80-minute speech in which I said, of course, the president can be impeached if he does something lawful or illegal. The Constitution says high crimes are misdemeanors. In fact, CNN criticized me for focusing on the fact that it has to be a crime. And then a day later, they have their commentators go on television and say Dershowitz doesn't believe that a president can be impeached even if he committed a crime. They knew what they were doing. They did it willfully and deliberately to destroy my reputation because they acknowledged that I had done a very good job in defending the president, and they wanted to undercut that. And so we will be able to depose Jeffrey Zucker, the head of CNN. We'll be able to depose those who made the decision to edit the tape. And we'll ask them, why would they take out the words unlawful and illegal? All of your viewers just heard me say that. The only thing that would make a quid pro quo unlawful is if the quo were in some way illegal. They took that out deliberately in order to turn my statement from black to white, from white to black.
Yeah.
Exactly the opposite of what I said.
Yeah, and you're right. We don't want this to happen to other folks either. So we'll see what happens with your case. $300 million. It could cost him a lot.
I will be very happy if I win this case.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Dershowitz. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.